This is the luxury world. Get inspired with us today and tomorrow. The Rolex watch hype is over. Once a symbol of status and wealth, the Swiss luxury watchmaker faces declining sales and a shrinking customer base. In this video brought to you by the Luxury World, we'll be going through a course of discussion that will revolve around the luxury watch market and the apparent end of the boom that has captivated our attention in recent years. It seems that the substantial growth we have witnessed over the past few years has now come to a halt, and that the once thriving boom has transitioned into a bust. Our discussion for today will be based on the gathered experiences of watch trading, selling, and collecting. If you have not already subscribed to our channel, we encourage you to do so now to stay informed about our future videos. There are several factors contributing to Rolex's decline. First, the company has been slow to adapt to changing consumer trends. In the past, Rolex watches were seen as a timeless investment. However, today's consumers are more interested in fashion-forward designs and innovative features. Second, Rolex has been hit hard by the rise of smartwatches. Smartwatches offer a variety of features that traditional watches do not, such as fitness tracking, GPS navigation, and mobile notifications. As a result, many consumers are now choosing smartwatches over traditional watches. Finally, Rolex watches are simply becoming too expensive for many people. The average price of a Rolex watch has increased by over 50% in the past decade. This makes Rolex watches unattainable for many consumers. If you are new to the world of watch collecting, there was a significant surge, a sort of boom, particularly for esteemed brands like Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet. While there are numerous reasons behind this trend, we will not delve into all of them. The reality was that these highly coveted watches were being snapped up rapidly. They were in high demand. Everyone seemed eager to acquire one. Some aimed to resell them at a profit, capitalizing on their desirability, while others simply wanted to own them due to their popularity. This phenomenon is not unique. It is a common trend in the luxury goods market, and so forth. As we set the stage for our discussion, we observe a gradual decline, influenced by a shift away from the mindset of unrestrained spending. There has been a pullback to manage inflation, particularly in the United States. Consequently, consumer spending has decreased, and we are beginning to witness the repercussions of these changes. Looking at this from a collector's perspective, rather than someone buying a watch for the sake of flaunting it or as a personal indulgence, it is important to make that distinction. Let us delve into categories, starting with the status of modern Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet, with a touch of Richard Mille, which forms a slightly different subsegment. These brands have all experienced a notable pullback, evident not only in reduced demand but also in pricing. While it is impossible to walk into an authorized dealer and purchase a Rolex or secure a sought-after AP Royal Oak, the gray market prices for watches like the Daytona have significantly dropped. Previously valued at $45,000 to $50,000, they can now be found for around $24,000 to $25,000. Similarly, Patek Philippe Saquonat, once fetching over $100,000, is now available in the market for $40,000 to $50,000, signaling a significant shift. The figures sometimes dip lower because these watches have also attracted individuals who are not necessarily watch enthusiasts. When it comes to Richard Mille watches, there has also been a decline in demand for them. These casual buyers may not be as focused on consumer or luxury goods now. Individuals are acquiring these watches because they appreciate and enjoy them. Enthusiasts who previously wished for more attractive prices are now finding them within a range they are comfortable with. The trend involves people who plan to keep the watch indefinitely and wear it. Rather than catering to casual buyers seeking to impress others, the emphasis has consistently been on those genuinely enthusiastic about the watches. Now, let us delve into the realm of vintage watches, breaking it down into categories like vintage Rolex, vintage Patek Philippe, and vintage Audemars Piguet. Additionally, we will touch on vintage watches from other brands. From our current perspective and acknowledging that online numbers may not always align with actual selling prices, there seems to be a noticeable decline in the pricing of vintage Rolex watches. Auction catalogs for these watches reflect lower prices compared to what they once fetched at major auction houses. Furthermore, there is a notable trend of vintage Rolex watches transitioning out of collections, moving from individuals who initially considered them as investments, given the limited production of vintage Rolex models. While the potential for a good return on investment over an extended period may still hold, an increasing number of vintage Rolex watches are entering the market as a strategy to free up funds. This phenomenon is observed among dealers, collectors, and individuals involved in the watch market. It is a favorable time to venture into the vintage Rolex market. Over the past 3 or 4 years, the pricing of these watches has been quite steep, but now there is an opportunity to find excellent deals. Vintage Submariners and GMT Masters are notably more affordable now. While it might not be the optimal time to sell these watches from your collection if you are waiting for peak prices, it is an excellent time to consider adding one to your collection. Similarly, this trend extends to certain Patek Philippe models and vintage Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks. The prices for these watches have significantly decreased, excluding some ultra-premium collector's pieces. While there has been a pullback, it is not as drastic as what we're observing in the modern Rolex or Patek Philippe markets. There is still a notable adjustment, making it a time worth considering for enthusiasts and collectors. The enthusiast-centric brands, such as Girard-Perregaux, Ulysse Nardin, Sin Watches, and Omega, have a substantial following. While it is true that some people beyond the enthusiast community also purchase these watches, there remains a significant enthusiast demand. Although the demand for new offerings might not be at its peak, especially in comparison to previous levels, the pre-owned market for these watches has sustained a robust demand. Enthusiasts continue to express a keen interest in collecting watches. Despite occasional pessimistic comments suggesting a bleak outlook, it is important to consider the larger scale and perspective rather than assuming everything is in a perpetual state of decline. The fact is, everyone undergoes a natural life cycle, so it is a matter of perspective. People are still actively involved in the processes of buying, selling, trading, and collecting watches. What is particularly interesting is the growing interest in more specialized brands that may have taken a backseat during the era dominated by the emphasis on investing in Rolex and Patek Philippe. People are directing their focus towards modern brands that currently offer better deals. There seems to be a shift among collectors who initially sought vintage Rolex or Patek Philippe but found the pricing escalating. Consequently, they have shifted towards alternatives like vintage Omega, vintage Tag Heuer, or vintage Heuer. While these areas have not experienced a significant downturn, they are not thriving as much as modern Rolex or Patek Philippe. Enthusiasts are still interested, but the pace has slowed, indicating a preference for diversifying their collections. It is important to note that there might be fluctuations in these categories, influenced by factors beyond immediate control, such as regional dynamics, global events, elections, and geopolitical situations. The overall trend is leveling out, signifying that while the boom may be over, there's potential for stability and even opportunities for those considering entry into these markets. As we conclude this discussion on the evolving landscape of the watch market, dynamics are shifting, presenting both challenges and opportunities for collectors and enthusiasts alike. The once booming trends in luxury watches, particularly in the vintage segment, have undergone adjustments, prompting a closer look at diverse brands and models. It remains to be seen whether Rolex will be able to regain its former glory. However, the company needs to make some major changes if it wants to survive in the changing luxury market. Now, what are your thoughts on the topic we shared in this video? If you enjoyed the video, we would appreciate it if you let us know by leaving a comment and giving it a thumbs up. Do not forget to follow our channel for more content. Thank you for watching The Luxury World, and we look forward to having you join us in our upcoming videos.